Welcome, my friends. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make content creation easy, even if you're ADHD, a perfectionist, or an overthinker. And we're going to do all of that in just 3 simple steps, with one step to tie it all together at the end as a bonus. Now, why are we only doing it in 3 steps? Well, that's because complexity is the enemy of execution, as said by the great Tony Robbins. The more you think about things, the more you have to think about, the harder anything becomes, especially in the realms of creativity, content creation, trying to be artistic and to have some flow. You add complexity in, it'll kill it dead. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get out of your own way, whether that is ADHD tendencies or traits that are blocking you, your own perfectionism, or overthinking. I'm going to show you the secret to being good on camera. And I'm also going to show you how to set up systems that make consistency effortless. Sound good? Let's do it. Now, just before we dive into all of that, I want to show you that I know a few things and that other people have said that I know a few things. This came from a great guy called Eric, who went through my course. He said, "Your training is excellent. Really, can I get that hooks writing masterclass as well?" And then Lee said, "As a newcomer to the world of video creation, I was overwhelmed until I found Robert Alexander Duran's Content Made Easy. This course has been a revelation. In just a few sessions, I learned how to set up my own studio with minimal equipment, use my phone to its fullest potential, and confidently script and film my ideas." She goes on to say, "The 4-hour-a-week strategy is a lifesaver for someone like me, proving that quality content doesn't need endless hours. The hands-on tips from framing to lighting made production less daunting. And the post-production guidance, simply brilliant. I never imagined I'd be editing my videos with such ease, let alone adding subtitles and mastering social media posting." She rounds it off nicely with, "In short, Content Made Easy has transformed my video creating journey. It's a must for any beginner eager to make an impact." Their words, not mine. Why would you listen to me anyway, even off the back of that and what makes me different? In all honesty, if you don't want to listen to me, I will not be offended. You don't have to listen to me, but I have been doing video production for a long time. To really grasp what makes me different, you probably need to know a little bit about my story. So I've been ADHD since before I can remember, but I've never been medicated. To cut a long story short, my ADHD diagnosis is a bit of an odd one. When I was a toddler, my mum tried to have me diagnosed by an NHS doctor in the UK. And at the time, there was very little knowledge around ADHD available. So that doctor was under the impression that only Aryan, blonde hair, blue-eyed children could be ADHD. How wrong was he? My mum then went to the ADHD support group. This was in like 1991, 1992. Wrote to them with my symptoms and they were like, "Yep, he's ADHD as they come." And from there, I was put on a very heavy exclusion diet, which did help massively. And in 1996, 1997, I was actually in the News of the World national newspaper as a success story for treating ADHD through diet. Pretty cool. From there, I then created my first video when I was 14, and that was in 2003. So I've clearly been doing this quite some time. Here's a screenshot of my first YouTube upload. I made this video just before going to college to study film and video production when I was 16. And as you can see down here, this was 18 years ago. I have been making videos for years and decades even. However, perfectionism, overthinking, and my ADHD traits and tendencies always held me back from pushing myself to be on camera, to actually make myself the forefront and actually do this, essentially. So instead, I always stayed in the background as the supporting cast, and I used my skills to help others. First, I did this with music videos. I used to work with punk and rock bands in the local scene. I had a blast. It just didn't pay as much as I would have liked it to. Following that, and at the same time, I was doing corporate camera operation and editing. I worked for a production company owned by an ex-Marine, and he had a contract with a turret manufacturer. So we were off filming tanks and AVs. We went to Portugal, Scotland, even South Korea we got flown to, business class. I had a blast doing that as well. Unfortunately, military, arms, all that kind of stuff doesn't really gel with who I am. I don't really want to be involved in that kind of thing. Went on later to do short form editing and coaching. Short form always made a bit more sense to me. I could get my head around it. I never wanted to do film production because of my lack of patience. My attention span wasn't there to be able to do anything that substantial. Music videos was my upper limit, really. So I went into short form editing, helping coaches, consultants, etc. Around the time that Hormozy style reels were a thing. So along the lines of being ADHD, the edits were all super quick with the captions and all the images and the graphics, and it was a lot. So then obviously that kind of died down, and I found myself as the creative director of the Heart Leader podcast. I took them from 500 subscribers to 100,000 subscribers. Not bad going, I would say. And I should mention, this was in the space of just 12 months. And here is a screenshot of their channel as it is today. They're currently on 116,000 subscribers. However, on the 16th of December, 2024, everything changed. The founders of Swivera, the nonprofit that runs the Heart Leader podcast, decided that they were moving their podcast production away from the editing team that I'd been leading. And they then wanted my involvement to be tapered back to just consulting essentially on their course creation, which I'm still involved in today. But everything happens for a reason. This was my calling. I knew how to make content, and it was time to go all in on helping people like me, people with ADHD, perfectionists, and overthinkers. It was time for me to be at the forefront, to actually push and to build my own audience, to create content being in front of the camera instead of behind it. So I refined the Content Made Easy protocol, the systems, processes, and philosophy that I've adopted over the years to now be able to create content consistently and get out of my own way. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. But first, who is this for? So this is for people with ADHD, perfectionists, and overthinkers who are entrepreneurs or content creators who know that their business and brand would grow and inevitably benefit from creating content consistently, but they just haven't been able to stick at it, which is exactly where I was years ago before working with the Heart Leader podcast. Who it's not for is for people who already have a system in place or a team for their content creation, people who find it easy to stay consistent. I don't know if they exist, but maybe. And people who don't overthink or have any sort of perfectionism in them. Those people, I envy. It's also not for people who just want to follow trends or are creating entertainment content and don't care about being authentic and genuine and being in service of others. So the old way versus the new way. The old way was that we'd script everything and have to stick to a script, and everything was very rigid. We'd set up a shoot every time, put the lights away at the end, and next time we want to shoot something, get them all out, unpack them, set them up. Overthinking every piece of content as to whether it's good enough, whether it's going to go viral, and all of that just delays hitting record. We'd then focus really hard on the edit and use it to make up for any poor performance of the script, of the conviction that went into what was being said, and we'd make it flashy. retention editing, essentially. And we put a lot of effort in, but also get stuck in perfectionism, which then delays it actually being completed. That's the old way, no more. We don't want to do that because we just repeat that process for several videos, get distracted, and after not going instantly viral, you give up and go and do something totally different. Raise your hand if you've been there. I know I have. Here's how we're going to do it from now on. We'll outline the video. No rigidity, you can just make sure you know what you're going to be talking about and let it flow. You'll have a fixed setup, so the lights stay where they are, and all you need to do is turn them on. Turn the lights on, turn the camera on. Boom, ready to go. We're going to speak authentically, relying on actual expertise and experience, no overthinking it, all because we're going to learn to trust ourselves. And then when it comes to the editing, it'll be a light edit, making sure the focus is kept on the message, because that flow, that process is so easy. It's going to be easy to maintain. It's going to be easy to stay consistent with. You stay consistent with it, you build your brand, you build your business, and you end up in a virtuous cycle of creation rather than a vicious cycle of perfectionism and overthinking. So number one in the 3-step process we're going to cover is systems and templates. Creating content consistently isn't about motivation. It's about having systems that remove friction. The less you have to think about setup, editing, file organization, the more you can focus on the content itself and the message that you're trying to get across. This is how I keep everything efficient. So filming setup. For short form, I've taken to just using my phone because it's easier. The lack of consistency that came from using my mirrorless camera isn't worth it when I could just use my phone. I have upgraded to the iPhone 16 Pro, which does help. A little loss in video quality is definitely worth it if it means being consistent. So I use my phone with a plug and play Bowyer lav mic, which is this one. No complex setup, just quick and easy recording. For my long form content, what you're seeing now, I use a Shure MV7, which is this microphone right here, a Sony A6400 for capturing the video, and I record straight into OBS Studio. So I'm not messing around with an SD card. It goes straight into my computer and then onto an external hard drive. All very simple. And these are preset. So just turn things on and I can hit record. Simple. Then, as I mentioned before, we have a fixed lighting setup. Literally, when I want to record these videos, I turn on a switch there. I turn on these 2 ambient lights either side of me, and I'm ready to go. I move the mic into position. I don't have this here when I'm trying to type or anything like that. But all in all, very little friction to get started. And then the last thing to mention here is that the mirrorless, the A6400 that this is being recorded on, has a dummy battery. I'm not messing around with having to swap batteries in and out. I turn it on at the plug socket, along with the lights, it comes on. Easy. Now with file organization, this is the bit that is boring. There is nothing sexy about this, but if you get it down and don't have to worry about it, don't have to think about it anymore, it just pays off dividends. I use Google Drive. Everything is structured into folders. So I have number 1 folder is for Instagram, then a second one for YouTube, a third one for other, in case I make any other projects that don't fall into those 2. And then a 4th for master templates. Inside each of these, there are folders for month, then week, and then separate folders for raw footage and the edited videos. If you want to see exactly how I have this, there will be an opportunity for that later on in the video. And then when it comes to file organization, in terms of the editing process, I keep everything in one project on a single timeline. So this keeps everything in one place, so I can copy and paste settings easily and maintain congruency in terms of the look and feel of my content, basically. This is more appropriate for short form, by the way. Long form, it's a bit harder to do that with. I will probably not do this video on the same timeline as anything else. Short form, keep it on one timeline. And then the production workflow. I always try and batch shoot. Wherever possible, I'll shoot more than one piece of content, especially when it comes to short form. I don't want to be doing a setup, even if it is an easy one with my phone and plugging in a mic, to shoot one video unless it's something specific. Like when I did the unboxing for the 100K YouTube award, I did that as a singular video. But outside of those one-off projects, if you do one video, why not do two? If you do two videos, why not do four? If you do four videos, why not do 8? And I just keep that momentum going until I run out of gas, essentially. Then preset titles and captions. So you don't have to start from scratch every time. I have a caption style within Premiere that I just apply to every piece of content. If you're starting every time, that takes more energy than just maintaining momentum. Elon Musk spoke about this, I believe, in terms of SpaceX rockets. Most of the energy expenditure goes in the first meter of that rocket getting off the ground. And after that, momentum takes it. Templates and preset titles, etc., allow for that momentum to be maintained. And then the same goes for color and audio presets. I just copy a clip and then paste the attributes, and then you're not doing it over and over again. Posting and distribution. So for where I am with content now, a daily involvement is essential to building the habit and streak. So although I batch shoot, I'll post manually, and I tend to do 1 or 2 edits at a time instead of trying to batch edit everything. This means I'm not trying to have it all done at once and then I have downtime, because having that constant involvement helps with the ADHD traits and tendencies. However, for the Heart Leader podcast, we did use these systems if you want to go and try them out. So for scheduling posts, Metrical is what we used most of the time. It's probably the best non-native scheduler. But then for YouTube, we would schedule the full episodes and the clips just natively within YouTube. This is good for helping with the YouTube algorithm because it allows your video to process before it gets sent out for anyone to see. And then we also always had a repurposing plan. Long form content was turned into clips for Reels, TikToks and tweets. If your main focus is a podcast or something where it's very long form, this is a must. You got to make the most of your energy, like I said. For what I'm doing right now, I prefer to keep short form and long form separate and focused. But they're two different approaches. Neither's wrong, neither's right. You have to find what works for you. So this system keeps content creation simple and repeatable. No wasted time, no unnecessary decisions. Step 2 is ideation and research. Coming up with content ideas isn't about waiting for inspiration. It's about showing up, creating, and letting the ideas develop over time. Overthinking kills momentum. If you sit around trying to craft the perfect idea, you'll never hit record. The truth is, refined ideas come with practice, not planning. The more you create, the better your instincts get. How I approach ideas is that I try and keep it simple. The simplest ideas are the best. If you've ever seen Inception, you'll know why. If an idea makes sense to me in a single sentence, it's good enough to film. Complexity is the enemy of execution. We don't want complex, hard to understand or explain ideas. Quantity over perfection. Most ideas won't be groundbreaking. I'm fine with that. I've accepted it. Even Einstein, Edison, any of those inventors, a lot of their ideas were utter shite. They get known for the 1 or 2 that really were groundbreaking and incredible. Much like Picasso, he did 15,000 pieces of art. He's known for a handful, less than 10. So the goal is to post consistently and improve as I go. And then I just have to trust my expertise. This is what I mentioned earlier in terms of learning to trust ourselves. I know more than I think I do, and you do too. I guarantee it. Over-explaining or over-scripting usually makes the content worse. It makes it more convoluted, makes it harder to understand. I just need to trust that I know what I'm talking about and that I can put it across in a way that other people will understand. Good content isn't made in isolation. Seeing what works for others helps refine your own approach. But there's a fine line between learning from others and getting stuck in comparison or imitation. So we do have to be very careful not to just take on what other people are doing and either feel bad because it's working so well for them and not for us, or try and take it on and become that person or that way of doing content. Maintain your originality. If you're ADHD and a perfectionist and an overthinker, there are things about you that are truly unique and you need to hold on to them. Now, how I use research is, number one, to spot trends, but not to chase them. Trends can give direction, but copying them rarely works long term. Instead, I always ask myself, how can I apply this to my own style? And often, there is no way in it. It's just something that I have to pass up. Every now and then, I'll come across something I think, that's for me. I look for patterns. If a certain hook, topic, or format keeps showing up, it's probably because it's working. And that is a signal that is worth taking note of. And then I engage like a consumer. I don't just watch as a creator. I'm always paying attention to what it is that makes me stop scrolling. Because if it makes me stop scrolling, it's going to make some other people stop scrolling as well. Now, here's what to avoid when it comes to research. You don't want to over-research. Watching too much content can trick your brain into feeling productive when you haven't actually created anything. It will spark that dopamine hit, and it's false. You haven't actually earned the dopamine. Comparison paralysis. It's easy to see someone else's success and think that you're behind. This is what I was just saying. But they're on their path and you're on yours. Feeling bad about where someone else is isn't going to help you get to where you want to go. You have to put that out of your mind and press on, go forward. And then losing originality. If you're just copying, you're always playing catch up. Research should inform your content and not dictate it. And how to keep it balanced. Time limited research. Just set a window of 10 to 15 minutes, have a look at what's going on, and then move on. Get into creation mode. Create before consuming. If I haven't filmed or written anything yet, I don't allow myself to scroll through others' content. Always be building that muscle of creation before consuming. And then trust my own voice. The best content comes from experience, not imitation. Research gives me direction, but the execution has to be mine. You have to own your content, which brings me very nicely to performance and camera confidence. So I'm going to go through the secret of how to be good on camera. So showing up on camera is a skill. If it's a skill, it can be learned. Like any skill, it improves with practice. The more you do it, the easier it gets. Anyone can be good on camera given enough practice. There is nothing to stop anyone, only their own limiting beliefs and confidence. But most people expect to be good straight away. They see others speaking effortlessly and assume they're just natural on camera. The reality, those people have reps. They weren't always confident. They just kept showing up until it became second nature. I'm going to go through this shortly, but I am not naturally good on camera. I don't even think I'm that good now. I've just done it enough that I can talk to you like this. I still have a long way to go myself. So first of all, we have to manage expectations. Your first videos will feel awkward. They will suck. And that is normal. You won't sound like yourself at first. One, you have to get used to what you sound like, because what you hear in your head isn't what everyone else hears. It's an odd dichotomy to have to deal with. But also, you have to find your style. Like, you'll have nervous energy that will make you act in a way, and you'll watch videos back and be like, what was I doing? And that's only nervous energy. That dissipates more and more with time. And confidence isn't about being loud or polished. It's about conviction. This is what I was saying about owning your content. If you really believe in what you're saying, that is going to go much further than having trendy hooks or a fancy edit. Why conviction matters more than perfection. You don't need to be the most charismatic speaker. You just need to believe in what you're saying. If you trust your message, people will trust you. Look at Dan Coe. Like, he's charismatic, but he's not an animated speaker, yet he draws people in because you can tell he means what he's saying. You can tell he fully believes it and no one else is going to tell him otherwise. Conviction is the most powerful sales tactic that you can ever have. So uncertainty is obvious. If you don't sound convinced, your audience won't be convinced of you. Passion is contagious. When you genuinely care, people will pay attention. And clarity beats complexity. Exactly what I've been saying from the start. Confidence isn't about saying more, it's about saying things with certainty. How to improve performance on camera. This is a 4-step process. Number 1, practice in low-stakes situations. Talk to your phone, record voice notes, or speak your ideas out loud before filming. Then number 2, film every day, even if you don't post it. Getting used to seeing yourself on screen is going to pay dividends. The more you do that, the less you have to overthink or procrastinate. Right now, I'll pop in a video of me doing exactly this so you know it's something that I've gone through. This is a video from a few years back. I'll show you 30 seconds or so.
Hello. So I had my session with Clee and it was great, and we spoke about my fear and the pain I'm trying to avoid of being on video. And she set me a challenge to record 3 ads whilst here still in like the next hour or so.
Hope you enjoyed that. So moving swiftly on. Number 3, focus on the message and not the delivery. The best performances come from people who are focused on what they're saying, not on how they're saying it. Let that sink in. Think about how Tony Robbins talks. He isn't thinking about the specifics of how he's talking because he sounds like he's got a mouth full of gravel. He's focusing on what he's saying and the impact that it will have. And finally, number 4, don't chase perfection. Done and posted is better than perfect and stuck in your drafts. A video that isn't posted has no impact. Even if you post it and only 3 people see it, but it changes one of those people's lives, you've done a hell of a lot more than you would have ever done if you didn't post it at all. I am not naturally the most confident on camera. It's something that I've had to practice, and I still catch myself overthinking from time to time. But every time I press record, I understand that I'm building the skill. I'm building that creation muscle. And confidence isn't about talent, it's about consistency. Show up, trust your message, and keep going. Now, this system works, and for some people, this will be the icing on the cake that allows them to go out and be consistent without any further help. And if that's you, fantastic. But if you are ADHD, you know, just as well as I do, how it is when you know something and that it doesn't mean you'll actually follow through, especially if there's no accountability. Just before I go into the bonus that wraps all this up together, I want to play you a few videos just to show you what a few other people have said about the help that I have given them. Back in a moment.
Came in and offered incredibly valuable insight and has helped us grow our YouTube channel and our social media and online presence through video to where we're over 5 million views on a regular monthly basis.
Before the Content Made Easy course, I have to say that I was creating videos that were just too lengthy. After the course, now I'm able to actually script my videos, break them down and shorten them and get straight to the point. Would I recommend Robert's Content Made Easy course? Yes, most definitely.
Working with Robert has been one of the best decisions I've made. His expertise is unmatched. But the thing that I did not expect was how much this has improved my confidence and positively affected my mindset.
If you're thinking about if you want to up your social media game, if you want to up your Reels game, if you just want better, high quality content to stand out from everybody else producing low quality content, get with Robert. He's absolutely awesome to work with. His work is top notch and you will not regret it.
We've been able to shift on to the YouTube platform and grow by leaps and bounds within the last year. And just working with him in general. He has such an incredible way of connecting. I hope you get a chance to work with him. It'll change your life.
Welcome back. So the bonus: mindset, focus, and editing. I never said the bonus would be super sexy, but these 3 things will tie together everything else that we've spoken about. This is the glue that really sticks it all together. Now, success in content creation isn't about talent, it's about mindset. The way you think about the process determines whether or not you stay consistent or if you burn out. Most people fail because they focus on results over reps. They want to grow fast, they want instant engagement and viral success. But the creators who last aren't the ones chasing numbers. They're the ones showing up regardless. And they're the ones that understand that it's about your body of work. There's no point being the creator who has 5 videos and 1 million followers, because where's the substance? Where's the connection? Where's the actual understanding that person's story and where they came from? If you don't focus on building your body of work, how are you ever meant to have anything you'd want from an audience whilst being genuine? The mindset that works. Focus on the process, not the outcome. You can't control views or likes, but you can control how often you post. Detach from perfectionism. Good enough and posted beats perfect and unfinished. I hope you're seeing a theme here. See content as a skill. Like any skill, it gets better with repetition. The only way to improve is by doing. You can't think yourself into being better. Not really. You can visualize what you're going to say, but you still have to say it at the end of the day. You still have to press record. Now, how I stay focused. I remove distractions. Social media probably being the worst one. It's a tool, but endless scrolling kills focus and it draws you into that comparison hole that we were talking about earlier. So if I'm not creating, I'm wasting time. Try and work in sprints, short focus sessions. So filming, editing, writing, preventing burnout, because hustle culture, if you're ADHD, an overthinker or a perfectionist, is a fallacy. Just grinding away, what's the point? I have always been in the mind of work smart, not harder. And I would rather build leverage rather than just grinding away so I can brag about how many hours I do. That doesn't interest me in the slightest. And then use a simple system. Overcomplicating the workflow leads to procrastination. The easier it is to create, the more I stay consistent. Like I said, this is tying together what we spoke about before. If you have those systems set up to allow yourself to just turn a few things on and then hit record, you're going to hit record more often than if you have to set everything up. And finally, I use the power of streaks. I have found that maintaining a streak is far more important than being distracted. So I learned this because I started using Duolingo. I actually hit 300 days of learning Spanish last night. And it's a hack for ADHD that not enough people know. If you are rewarding yourself and getting that bit of dopamine that we are deficient in by maintaining a streak, you will continue to do something. So now I use the Streaks app. There'll be a link for that in the description to track my posting on Instagram and YouTube. And I'm going to be using it more for things that I want to maintain and continue to be consistent in. And then finally, we really should talk about editing. If this was a few years ago, this would have been the first thing I spoke about. In fact, I would have probably done the whole video around editing. When I first went to college, my intention was to solely be an editor. But now I've come to realize that editing isn't all that. It should be there to reinforce the content as opposed to detract away from it or to put a plaster over a leaky bucket when the content's not actually that good. So editing isn't about making content flashy. It's about making the message clear. And if the story is strong, the edit should support it and not overshadow it. For a long time, creators relied on fast cuts, sound effects, and over-the-top visuals to keep people watching. And that worked when attention was cheap. But audiences have changed. People don't just want stimulation, they're craving genuine and authentic connection. Exactly what I was saying about earlier. So why lighter editing can be better. Clarity over chaos. If editing gets in the way of the message, it is a distraction. Speed equals consistency. The more time you spend editing, the longer it takes to post, the less likely you are to post. A simpler edit makes it easier to stay consistent. And authenticity wins. Overproduced videos can feel fake. People engage more with content that feels real. Think about Mr. Beast's videos. You might reach out to him saying how much of a fan you are, but very few people are contacting him looking for a connection in terms of coaching or consulting or anything that you'd be posting educational content for. How I approach editing these days. I keep the focus on the story. If a cut doesn't serve the message, it's unnecessary, I'm not going to make it. I allow the content and the message to breathe. I try and edit fast. I don't want to be spending 16 hours a day editing like I did in college. So if the video took 10 minutes to shoot, I aim to spend only 20 minutes editing it. That doesn't always work out, but that's what I'm aiming for every time. And then I use templates, preset color grading, text overlays, and captions save time. Editing should serve the content and not the algorithm. If retention hacks are the only thing keeping people watching, the content itself isn't strong enough. Now, more than ever, people engage with what feels real. The best editing doesn't scream for attention, it makes the message clearer, sharper, and more impactful. So there you go. Those are the 4 steps. You've got the 3 main ones and the mindset, focus, and editing step to tie it all together, the glue that makes it all happen. If you can take these and go and make content consistently, overcoming your ADHD traits and tendencies, your overthinking, your perfection, class, I am nothing but happy for you. If, however, you are somebody that needs a bit of extra help, introducing Content Made Easy one-on-one. Now, this is a one-on-one, hands-on 12-week coaching program limited to just 5 spots per month to ensure personalized support, where I will work with you, just me and you, one-on-one, so you can really get this into your system. Now, what is involved with that? Weekly one-on-one coaching calls. So you'll have an hour-long Zoom call every week for the 12 weeks. Which will be focused on your goals, your struggles, and next steps. Every time there will be homework for you to do so we can ensure that you have progress. You will leave with clear, actionable steps after every session. And because it's one-on-one, that means we can focus on exactly where you are. Maybe you know all the gear stuff and you've already got a fixed setup and you need help with camera confidence, or vice versa. Or maybe it's something completely different. Maybe you just need help with the mindset and the accountability side of things. And you need somebody to make sure that you're actually hitting post. Either way, we make sure we do what is needed for you. And then the ADHD friendly content strategy. This is a custom content system that fits your ADHD, perfectionism, or overthinking. We're not going to work against your brain. We're not going to do the whole hustle culture thing of trying to bulldoze our way through and ignore how our minds work. We're going to create systems and processes that work in favor of how our minds work. And that'll involve a step-by-step plan to stay consistent without burnout. And there'll be time-saving hacks to make content easier. As an optional upgrade, you can opt for WhatsApp content reviews and feedback. So anytime you can send me a WhatsApp message with your posts, scripts, or ideas for detailed feedback. And then I'll provide a Loom video reviewing what you've done so you can see exactly what to improve. And there'll be suggestions for tweaks and optimizations without the need to overhaul everything. And then ongoing support and accountability. You will have access to me between calls for quick questions and support, whether you choose the optional upgrade or not. There'll be encouragement and check-ins to keep you on track, and resources and templates to make content creation easier. And you can actually request resources, templates, anything that you need. And if it's in my power to do so, I will create those things for you because I want you to win. So if that sounds like you, if it sounds like something you're interested in, something that you need, something that will really push you to overcome the ADHD traits and tendencies holding you back, to overcome your perfectionism or your overthinking, all you need to do is send me a DM on Instagram just saying program. And I will send you all the full details of the program and how we can get started, all the logistics, etc. We can chat about that. There'll be no high pressure sales. I'm not into that at all. If you want my help, I'm here for you. If you don't, it's fine. I hope you've enjoyed the video. But either way, whether you send me that DM on Instagram or if you've just got value from this video, I really hope I have helped. And until next time, stay safe, be well, and another Tony Robbins quote for you: live with passion.